Okay, let's call the meeting to order. The first thing we have here, we'll take the 75A ordinance. It's ordinance for licensing the smoking electronic devices and liquid.
On the supplemental agenda.
All on me.
Yep.
I'm going to move for approval, and then I'll describe what's in here.
I'll second for discussion. Sure.
So what it is our previous exceptions didn't allow people to, I guess, gather to smoke in vape shops. And so one of the vaping store operators got a hold of Alderperson Probst and myself, indicated that, hey, we've been doing this. It's a large part of our business. This is what Alderperson Probst was talking about last time, about revising this piece to allow smoking in these e-vape stores. So what we're doing is if the business is licensed before October 1st and has no lapse basically in their operation, they will be allowed to smoke e-cigarettes in their facilities.
Mr. Chair,
All on Waggle.
how many of these locations do we expect to get a license for October 1st? Do we know?
The count, Monica, correct me if I'm wrong, he was wrong. Well, first of all, by October 1st, I got to make an amendment to that date. I'm going to make an amendment to make it November 1st. We'll do that in a second, but there's 8, I think, is what we currently have counted.
8, for
So
sure.
these aren't gas stations that currently sell. These are like a vape lounge or a vape store,
Right.
whose primary business is selling vaping equipment and supplies, and no one just be in there incidentally buying a teddy bear or
Right.
gasoline.
People under 18 aren't allowed in. And
No one goes in there. Everyone going in there would is likely a vapor or maybe buying a gift for a vapor.
right. And Mr. Chair, with that, I did forget about the amendment. I'd like to amend that to state November 1st, because that's the timeline that was given to me by staff that they could actually make this happen.
Well, we have a motion and a second on the floor.
I move to amend the motion to the date to be November 1st.
I'll second the amendment on the date change.
Oh, I think we got to act on this before.
No?
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the amendment? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So now we have a motion and a second.
As amended.
As amended.
We're good. I don't think you need
remake
that
it.
motion.
No, the motion's already made. So,
Okay.
is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next we have number 76, communication from the Director, Building Inspection, Neighborhood Services. Ed? Good, you can explain it.
Yeah,
Up for discussion.
yeah, just something in discussing with staff. The problem that we're running into when liquor store or when taverns or sometimes liquor stores and things, when they're changing hands, new owners are coming in. We're really seeing like no issues on the plumbing side of things, and we're seeing a lot of issues on the electrical side of things. We started thinking about, well, why is that? Well, every year when we do our liquor inspections, we just send in the plumbing inspector, and he goes in there every year, checks everything out, makes sure everything's working good. But the electrical inspector, they're not getting in there for sometimes 10, 15, 20 years in some of these places. So when they do finally get into there, they're writing up the old on 60th and the railroad tracks there.
Ron's Pub.
Ron's Pub. That one, I think they had like $10,000 worth of electrical upgrades that they had to fix for this new owner who's, small business, finally getting this place. They put all their life savings into this thing, and now they got to spend a lot more money here to fix up the electrical violations. So we started brainstorming with staff, and we kind of came up with a thought that, what if we kind of split the city in half, where half of the city, the electrical inspector will go in there, and then the other half, the plumbing inspector will go in, and then flip-flop sides every other year. So brought it up to Mickey, said, what do you think here? The way we would kind of implement it, we'd kind of get the word out now that, you know, that, hey, we're gonna be
Next
starting to
Next
do
year.
this, cause, yeah. And I think for like the first cycle, the first 2 years, you know, half the city the first year, the other half the second year, we just kind of focus on maybe like 3, 4, 5 major violations just to kind of get those better for the first, you know, so we're not sending our guys in there and just writing up everything in the whole place. Kind of give them and send this out to them ahead of time, just say, you know, these are the maybe 5 things that we're going to be keying in on this first year through, so they don't get hit with everything all at once. Yeah, I think that's sort of the basic gist of it. Up for discussions and thoughts, and see what you guys think.
Head nods. Sounds great.
Yeah.
And the ordinance right now basically just says that building inspection is to sign off. It doesn't say that that it requires the plumbing inspector. How it got to be the plumbing inspector, that's before my time. I don't know. So.
Mr. Chair?
Well,
So I read the letter and email. So, and I guess I have a couple questions. Okay, so a permit's required for low voltage wiring,
Yeah.
and the permit's required because that's a state law. That's ours.
That's ours.
I was under the impression that the council, maybe it was the previous council, had given direction to our department heads that when it came to those kinds of things, none of our codes should be stricter than the state code.
Right.
We had this West Dallas is anti-business image out there, you know, the stories of electrical or plumbing guys or the pool installer or contract, I won't do business in West Dallas.
Right.
And I kind of thought we had all agreed that so that none of our codes in that line would be stricter than the state code. Understanding that a lot of communities don't even enforce the state code because they don't have full-time inspectors, they don't have any inspector, or they don't have inspectors who stay current with changes in the code.
Right.
So, like speaker wiring, that's our code, that's not the state code.
Well,
And that was listed in your email.
We follow the state code for how to install it,
Yeah.
but what is required to have a permit and what isn't is not. The state doesn't. They leave that all up to the municipalities,
Okay.
other than new 1 and 2 family houses.
Okay.
Those they say you have to get a permit for, but everything else,
I'm just-
they
I'm-
leave it up to us. If we don't want to get permits for anything, we really.
I'm just
don't have
imagining
to.
things like, you know, speaker wiring, televisions.
Right.
People run coax down the wall. I'm not talking about the power for the, I understand 110
Right.
volts is 110 volts. But that's, you know, that all requires a permit.
Right.
But
And yeah, and as
I
for the-
understand you're not
the
gonna go after,
reasons, I'm-
say you're not
I'm
gonna go after that
sure.
right away.
Right.
But eventually we're gonna be going after all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something we could revisit. I'm not sure why we do require a permit for it. That
Well,
was kind of before
I think
my time as well.
one of the discussions was that oftentimes when someone installs wiring, they put a hole in a
Smashing holes in
firewall
there, right.
and it doesn't get sealed up, and because it's not done correctly.
Right.
I get that, and that's maybe more of a fire inspector than an electrical inspector thing.
Mhm.
Maybe, I don't know, but and I'm going to put on my. What do our neighbors do? Do any other cities do this? Does
I'm not sure. I can get back to you on that.
yeah, I understand we talked at one time about inspecting some cities do a full residential inspection on sale of a residential property.
They used to, they can't anymore.
Oh,
That was in the state budget this year that
oh.
eliminated the city's ability
Cities
to do that.
can't do that anymore,
No.
okay. So, but I'd like to know what we talk about putting the city at a competitive disadvantage. I understand you're trying to help out the potential buyer of a business, but a smart buyer who has a lawyer involved says, you know what, seller will bear our costs to bring the building up to code. So that, we're not really, in this sense, we wouldn't really be protecting the seller. Any seller would have the protection of a smart lawyer helping to write the deal. Or any buyer, well,
But yeah, but we're trying to not hit that big bubble of problems at the end.
yeah.
We're trying
Well, I
to kind of get them as
understand
we
that.
go here.
Understand.
There's also the safety factor for
Yeah,
people that are
yeah,
in there every day.
yeah.
That hey, this has been
Have we
bad
had
for
any
10
electrical,
years.
have we had any electrical fires in taverns in the last 30 years?
Not yet.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So you'd have to come back to us with a ordinance change, right, or something?
Well, really, like I said, there isn't a change to the ordinance that would have to happen. It just says building inspection has to approve it. It would just be more, I mean, I can come back to you with
Like a
more
policy.
policy, you know, this is what we're gonna do, these are the things we're gonna key on, that type of stuff, but before I got too far down that,
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with switching off like that, I mean.
Yeah. Can you get a list of you said maybe 5 things you're gonna start with,
Yep.
or?
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
why don't you get that to everybody and then, let's
go from there, see what we
Right.
say.
Yeah.
Sounds
I'd
good.
also like to know what our neighbors do.
Yep, on the low voltage.
Well, you
Or
know,
on-
even on this, does anybody, does Brookfield, Wauwatosa, New Berlin, we won't even talk about Milwaukee.
No.
You know,
They don't count.
But our neighbors, Greenfield, I mean, do they do the same thing currently we do with plumbing and fire and?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just don't want it to be, you know, again, as a small business owner, and I will be affected by this, you
Sure.
know.
Yep.
I hear this from contractors all over, FN West Dallas, you know.
Mhm.
And it's a little bit of a legacy, I think we're getting past that
Right.
with some changes in the department and all that, thank you.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think we've come a very
I
long way.
haven't heard it in a while.
I just don't wanna see us going back.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so you're gonna find out a few things and come back with us, and,
Yep.
and it's no ordinance or anything, so do I have a motion to place this on file?
So moved.
Communication.
Second.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, we have number 77, Class B beer and wine license.
Move approval, subject to necessary requirements.
Second.
It's just approval, so it's okay. Usually, all of our stuff really is
Yeah,
necessary.
we don't need
requirements.
to say something.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Then we have number 78 and, we'll take them individually. Number 78, O'Connor's Perfect Pint for an event on, September 10th, noon to 10 p.m. Food and tents, they have the parking lot in
Move
back.
approval.
Second.
Only me will get that. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anybody opposed? Then we have the cheese and sausage shop. They have they have the Class B special event and a musical instrument. It's number 79 and 80 on your agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Number 81, these are bartender's license, 81 only.
Move approval.
Second.
Everybody's shy today morning.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, do we have, let's see, Nicole Hoffmeyer? She called it?
No, that item should be held for a future appearance.
Okay.
82 and 83. You probably still have those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a bunch of them for you, so, to hold, so. Okay, then we got 84, 85, 86, 87, 88.
Move
Is-
to place on file, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Mike?
That item number 85, I'm sorry, I don't have the report in front of me. The police report? Is that the one where the owner said they served 10 drinks to the customer? You recall? Sorry, I was on vacation and so I'm kind of blurred.
I think so,
Yes. Stated in, Patel stated she believes she served Benke approximately 10 tall vodka mixed drinks. I'd like to call them in on that.
Okay.
That one I don't want to.
Okay, do I have a motion to withdraw? You withdraw your motion in second,
We want
on
to
this item
withdraw
number
the
85?
motion to bring him in.
Okay, no.
Oh,
you
Yeah,
want me to
withdraw your
withdraw?
motion for 85.
Withdraw
Yeah, I'll
85.
withdraw my
Withdraw your
second.
okay. Okay, so we have 84, 86.
Which may be moved anyways, because that place is closing.
No, not really. Isn't, not right away. 87 and 88. Does I have any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Then we have 89 and 90.
Move approval.
Second.
Mr. Chair, for 89, that one was flagged on the record as well for a future appearance.
You want that for appearance also? Okay,
Please.
let's go for 90 then.
Move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then we have 91. Approval subject to necessary requirements. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Then we have, see, 92 and 93. Place on file. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Do I have
I
any-
assume on item number 92, it was, that's a typo, that it was in June 11th of 2016, not 2006.
Six.
This hasn't been just clearing up something from 10 years ago.
The drunk uncle wasn't around.
I'm sure that'll be taken care of. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. I believe that's it. Motion to adjourn, license held.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right.
These are from the, I didn't get them to Ann either, so.